What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. This video I will be unboxing a fairly new release by Daron, which was also one of the most unique releases in quite a long time and the first ever release of a model like this, and that is the Southwest Airlines Freedom 1 livery Boeing 737 single plane. So my video is coming a little late to the model's release as it was officially released by Daron around March of this year, but I have had this model in my possession for quite a few months now, and I will finally be both unboxing it and comparing it to the infamous Aviamuse, otherwise known as the Daron Temu planes version of the Freedom 1 737, which was actually released before Daron's version roughly a year earlier in June of 2024. For some brief background information on this new model, this was Daron's first ever release of a true special livery model. Daron has been producing the Southwest Airlines 737 models since the early 2000s, starting with the iconic Canyon Blue 737-300, then switching over to the new Heart Livery 737-800 in the mid-2010s. And as many of you know, Southwest is very well known for their wide variety of special liveries, ranging from US state flags to retros. But before the Daron company bought out Realtoy, the original manufacturer of these airplane toys / models, they had never released any true special livery models of an airline they had already been producing a model for. That all changed, I believe, in late 2024 when the new Daron company announced the release of a Southwest Airlines Freedom 1 livery 737 single plane and large airport playset. But this model wasn't the only special livery released, as Daron also released the Emirates Destination Dubai Airbus A380 single plane around the same time, a model I will also be unboxing in the near future. But as for where you can purchase this model from, it is a common and actively produced model, so you can find it on most websites that usually sell Daron planes. Just search Daron Southwest Airlines Freedom 1 livery single plane, and you can find it on multiple sites. Mine was purchased from AirplaneShop, which is probably where I'll be getting pretty much all of my new Daron releases from, since most planes I've ordered from Amazon over the years have had damaged boxes. But as for the Daron Southwest Airlines fleet, altogether this is technically the 5th Southwest Airlines Daron model, with there being 2 slightly different variants in both the Canyon Blue and Heart liveries, and it is technically the 3rd completely different Southwest Airlines model if you don't count those variants. But keep in mind, this model is not to be mixed with Realtoy models, as it was not Realtoy manufactured. Some collectors, such as myself, think of all currently produced Daron planes as completely separate models, mainly because Daron has completely redone how they manufacture planes, and in my honest opinion, they went pretty downhill after Realtoy shut down, so I only will be getting completely new releases that are worth the more expensive purchase. One set that I will most likely not be getting is Daron's new large Delta 787 and A350 playset because, well, let's face it, the quality is just sad and it is way overpriced. But a new model like this every so often is perfectly fine, and it is nice to see Daron making some effort to expand their inventory to complete with the knockoff brands, even though the knockoff brands really are killing it with what seems like monthly new releases of airlines and liveries, even expanding into making some new aircraft outside of the 737 molds, even if those new molds really look like just mutilated Frankenstein-looking 737s. But with that being said, that really does wrap up all of the information I have to say about this model pre-unboxing. I will definitely go over more once I open everything up and compare it to the Temu version. But now getting into the box review, I did bring out my original Heart Livery 737 box just to compare the two, because when I originally had first seen photos of the Freedom 1 737 box, I was pretty disappointed that it did not have a more original box art design. I was really expecting the whole box to have some sort of American flag design on it for the livery and more specific for the actual model that they were producing, rather than it looking almost identical to the basic Southwest Airlines box that the normal Heart Livery model came in. So the Heart Livery model that I have was manufactured in 2019, so I'm really not sure if the currently produced Southwest Heart Livery is any different, or the box art is different, at least. But, I mean, you could see right here, the boxes are pretty much identical, if I can get the camera light out of the way. But, I mean, there is some differences in certain logo placements, but the color is the same, logos are the same, placements are relatively similar, so, yeah, and it was pretty disappointing that Daron did not try a little harder for the box art design on this, but I guess it save them more money just to go ahead and slap the same logos on a box rather than design something completely different. But as for the box review, the whole box is in the usual basic blue coloring that the entire Southwest, all the Southwest Airlines Heart Livery planes are painted in, with the Southwest logo at the top, both parts of the top of the plane on the very top of the box, and the front top portion of the box as well. This was an interesting thing they included at the top there, I guess just for the kids, the pilot in training, just as an extra fun little saying right there. Down here, this was the sticker for the original price tag, and something that was interesting that I just noticed when I was bringing this box out is the differences in the prices. I mean, I think I got this model here, even though it was made in 2019, I think I got it in 2021. So, I mean, just in the span of 4 years and the prices went up $4 is kind of crazy. I think some of that has to do with Daron's new manufacturing process. I think they just increased the prices up a lot, which is one reason why I don't really want to get the new Delta set, because for lower quality and higher price, I mean, come on, Daron, I really think you guys could do better. But, yeah, so the new Daron logo is in the bottom left-hand corner, the die-cast metal authentic livery, which that is also interesting to include that as well. I don't think I think usually they say new livery designs. They don't normally say authentic livery, which that was pretty cool. And then the usual plastic parts on there. And then Southwest Airlines Freedom 1 on the side, which, I mean, the Freedom 1 could have been printed a little bit more nicer, but it's still good that they included it there, since that is what the livery is called. And then on the back of the box, this is where the basic box art image is for the plane. Right there, the Freedom 1 logo has a little bit more coloration to it. It's different than the normal Southwest Airlines logo coloring there, and you see the plane. And pretty much all the same extra details: Daron logo, die-cast metal, authentic livery, and plastic parts, Southwest Airlines whole trademark stuff, and the Daron planes. I'm pretty sure, I guess this is the manufacturing date of March 3rd, 2025. One thing too, with all of the currently produced Daron planes, the models that are manufactured by Daron and not Realtoy, all of them are made in Vietnam now instead of China, so that is one way to tell the difference between them. So, I mean, as for the back of the box too, you can see box art designs are really identical in sort of placements. I mean, the background in general is different on Freedom 1. Background definitely looks nicer on the Freedom 1 than on the basic Heart Livery, but some of the stuff is included as well. But yeah, I mean, all the designs are pretty much the same. It's just, it is kind of funny that the Heart Livery says 4+ for the age, while Freedom 1 says 3+. I don't understand why Daron, like, they keep switching back and forth between the ages. Is it 3+, 4+? Like, what makes it the difference? They're really inconsistent with this stuff, but that pretty much is the whole box review for these right there. So, I mean, just kind of a side view of the plane. Yeah, I mean, overall, I have been looking at this plane through the box for quite a while. I've been waiting to do an unboxing video of it, just waiting for the right time. I have had this plane for a couple months now, so everything in here looks pretty good, nice and clean. I know one thing with the new Daron planes is that even though they are fully painted, they have a different kind of printing process on these, which I am interested to see how that is, since I think this will be my first model opening that will be like that. Another thing too is that this one does also, all currently produced Daron planes have a different kind of straps that are included, because if you actually look at the stock photos for the Freedom 1 737, you will see a lot of issues in the misprints, because I guess with the whole printing process it takes a little bit longer for the ink to dry, and the original kind of process they would do to attach the plane to the cardboard piece would smudge that ink if it's used on these currently produced planes. So they had to kind of develop a new system to attach the planes to the back of the cardboard piece, which I will show in a second once I start taking the plane out of the box. So I have the tape cut, and I was going to try and open up the box on camera, but for some reason I really could not get this flap out of the box. It was like really stuck in there. So like I was trying not to crease it, but I genuinely could not find a way to get it open without having to kind of force it a little bit. So but taking the plane out now, one thing I always want to mention is that I'd highly recommend opening Daron planes from the bottom rather than the top, only because opening it from the top would damage this little flap right here. And some people may disagree with me, but I genuinely think that the second most important part for every Daron plane is the box, only because the box is what has all the information on it about the model, and it genuinely is like the second most important part besides the actual plane itself. So I just always highly recommend opening the planes from the bottom rather than the top to preserve a little bit of that, keep the box more intact. But so here is the Freedom 1 737 single plane. So yeah, the ink definitely feels different than it normally is on the older Realtoy produced models, but I can already tell the printing definitely is better than the Temu plane. I mean, I'm not going to go ahead and do the comparison yet, but I can already tell that with the lighting and stuff, the printing is definitely better than the Temu plane at least. But as for the straps that are attached to the plane, so you can see right there on the wing, this has 3 straps instead of the usual 2. So 2 of them right here are included on each of the wings, right in between where the engine, kind of where between the engine and the actual fuselage. So, I mean, you can see a little bit of marking right there. I guess that is from the straps, which, I mean, I guess it is definitely better for it to be on the wing rather than on the actual livery and screwing up the livery design. So that definitely is a lot better and was actually a really smart move by Daron. One of the straps is still in the same place, but they now have an extra plastic piece on there as well to kind of separate the plastic strap from rubbing against the actual the ink on the actual fuselage. So I do hope that even with the pressure of it, I really do hope that it did not cause any scratching or indentions from the strap. So hopefully it did what Daron hopefully designed it to do. So definitely was pretty interesting seeing that for the first time when they originally had that. So I will have to take all of these out separately. But the plane there with the usual Daron background with a little bit of clouds included on there is always nice, and included in for each of the boxes. So I mean, looking at right here, the plane, it looks really good. I mean, the cockpit windows, automatically, I can see those are nice and straight, which is definitely good because lots of Daron planes, they're definitely known for having crooked cockpit windows. But yeah, definitely can tell the design is obviously really, really nice, and I really am impressed by Daron's manufacturing process for this plane, and definitely looks definitely really cool. So now I will go ahead and pause the video real quick so I can take the plane off of the straps. So here is the Daron Southwest Airlines Freedom 1 livery 737-800 fully taken out of the box. So getting into the review portion of the video, one thing the first main thing I really noticed after taking this plane out is the real like glossiness to the model as opposed to what they used to have. So just to show what the older ones were. So this is the other Heart Livery, the Heart Livery one that I have that was manufactured in 2019. So this one, which I'm not sure why on camera, the blue is looking a lot more vibrant than it really is. In person, the blue is a little bit more dull, so I'm not sure why the camera's picking up a little bit like a more vibrant coloring there, but you can definitely see a lot more difference, I think, in the glossiness. As I think mainly in the blue, the red not so much, but specifically in the blue. I mean, the Freedom 1 has a lot more shine to it, I think. It also feels different as well than the paint used on the original one. This one too is stickers, so it's not fully painted like the Freedom 1 is and doesn't have as much of that detail, but it's still the painting process is completely different, even too with like the wings and stuff I noticed. But anyway, as for going into the review portion of the video for this plane. So up at the front, as mentioned before, the cockpit windows are nice and straight on this plane. Genuinely some of the best I think I have out of any plane in my collection. I really am impressed with this. The cockpit windows are perfectly centered and perfectly straight horizontal. Genuinely look really nice too. and have the silver coloring to stand out a little bit more, because if they were the normal black coloring for the normal cockpit windows, then they kind of would be a little bit more difficult to see against the dark blue coloring. But at the front portion of the plane as well, you see there is the Freedom 1 logo printed pretty small, but also still really nice detail there. And then you have all 50 stars. I mean, I have not counted them, but considering the model does look pretty realistic, I'm assuming there is all 50 stars printed on this plane throughout the entire portion of the front right here. So since that is like what it is on the actual livery design. So on the front portion of the plane there is the first main cabin door with the little Southwest Heart next to the first main cabin door there. Then you have the cabin windows that go throughout the plane. They are painted in the same coloring, as silver coloring, as the cockpit windows, the cabin doors right there. So I guess this model is pretty much exactly made as the livery is. So you can see there's lots of nice detail in the design for the flag to kind of have that more wavy look. You can see the little darker gray parts that kind of interpret kind of the shadows on the flag, and then the whiter portions for the lighter part where the flag is kind of blowing in the wind is the look that they were trying to go for this livery. So one of the main things too with this livery that is really nice, trying to line it up right there, is the great connection. Lots of Southwest Airlines liveries have this, where they have the livery continued on into the engine, so you can see right there. Although there is one thing with this model that is different than the actual livery design. I think the actual livery, from when I was looking at pictures before filming this video, I think the actual livery only has one stripe on it. The actual livery just has one stripe right here, so these extra ones that Daron added are not actually on the real livery. I do not think those are there, even though I actually think it does look nicer with more stripes on it. But I mean, if you're looking at it like that, it might look like a candy cane, I guess, if you don't look at the blue. So I mean, if the actual livery does not have that, then I guess that kind of would make sense to not have too much of the red and white right there. But as for the rest of the livery, I mean, it pretty much is the same thing continuing on, and really nice separation there from the blue and then the rest of the American flag. And then going into the back of the plane, the biggest disappointment I have with this model is, why is there no registration number? This is the only, there's only one aircraft that looks like this. There's only, Southwest has one 737 plane that is painted in this livery, and why is there no registration number? The registration number for the actual plane is November 500 Whiskey Romeo. So I mean, it's a really recognizable registration number too for the plane. So I don't understand why there's no registration number right there in the back. I mean, even on the box art too, the box art doesn't have that. So I just really don't understand. I mean, the rest of the plane is really nice and realistic, so I don't get why there is no registration number on it. But the Southwest tail is also nice and realistic there. You can see it does have the silver part included just to add a little bit more character on the tail and make it more realistic as well. You see the Southwest Airlines logo and the usual tail livery for all of the Southwest Airlines special liveries. And then after taking off the plastic straps, I did notice a couple of scratches and kind of printing errors right here. So you can see this is where one of the plastic straps were that kind of scratched off some of the blue and some other scratches in parts of the paint. Honestly though, with a plane this detailed, I actually am surprised that my particular model doesn't have more misprints. I mean, will find more later on, but I mean, just generally looking around the model, there's maybe a little scuff on the nose right there and on the very top of the tail. But other than that, this is really great condition model. Not much misprints on it or scratches on there, which normally there could be a lot more, especially for a more detailed model. So that is not uncommon. But I mean, honestly, any plane are like that. Even Gemini jets, the most expensive and realistic looking planes, have misprints too. So it's just part of the manufacturing process for these planes and stuff. But going into the undercarriage, there is right there on the horizontal stabilizers, you see is the manufacturing date again, which is March 3rd of 2025. So Undercarriage is really nicely detailed. I'm glad that Daron incorporated the rest of this livery into the undercarriage, which is something they did not do on their fully stickered planes. So like here's the other Southwest one. You could see the livery just kind of cuts off right there, which is not like it is on the actual plane. So I do like that extra additional design part for Daron. And honestly, if they were to release this plane, or like earlier when Realtoy was still around, if Realtoy were to manufacture this, I'm not sure how they would do it, because I don't know how you would print a sticker for this whole thing. I know at least the blue and red would have to be painted, and the rest would have to be a sticker, which many people would definitely not be happy about, because it would probably fall off pretty easy, having like half the plane be covered in a giant sticker. So but yeah, I mean, that pretty much is the whole review for the plane. The rest of it is pretty self-explanatory. Really great detail and design on this. I really am impressed by Daron. It actually took, I mean, I've had this plane for a couple months now, and it was just sitting inside of the box, and it really took like me actually opening it to really understand just how detailed it really is. I mean, I hadn't really watched any other review unboxing videos of it before, just because I'm not too interested in Daron's new production style. I really just prefer the classic Realtoy planes. So, but I will be trying to get all the new Daron produced planes, like the actual new releases. I don't care, like the original Southwest Heart Livery, I will not be getting this in a new Daron plane, because for me that's just a waste of money. I already have this one, I prefer this one. So even if it is stickers, I prefer the Realtoy produced ones. But these new releases I definitely do like, and I really do hope that this is not, even though it's the first, I hope it's not the last special livery that Daron makes for Southwest, because Southwest does have a lot of really great livery designs. So going into the next main part of this video, well, I guess right before that, I did not mention before the wings. So the wings do have a little bit different style of paint. You can see over it there, it's kind of more silvery than it is on the other one. This one kind of reminds me a little bit of what the wings used to be painted like in the 90s. Kind of more of a matte finish on there. It has a little bit more reflective tone. It does look pretty nice, but I think I prefer the original Realtoy ones a little bit better, just because it's a little bit more of a basic color rather than this one. It's a little too shiny, I guess. It just doesn't look as realistic in my opinion. But so anyway, moving on to the comparison with the infamous Aviamuse, if I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right. Whatever the brand is that makes these, this was the first company that introduced these planes, and they have been selling very well. I actually just ordered, a couple days ago, I ordered a couple new planes, which I will be making another video on later on. I had reviewed this plane before in another video. I had made one video from the Temu planes. I think it was maybe July or something of last year, 2024. So I do have that video linked here and in the description as well. Also, I wanted to mention that I will include all of my other Southwest Airlines unboxings and reviews in the description as well. And right here, I will include them so that you can check those out as well. The unboxing reviews for the Canyon Blue 737s, that's pretty much what the main topic is for those videos, single plane and airport playset that I have. But anyway, so moving on to, back to these planes here. So I mean, you can obviously see the main difference here is lots of the coloring. So originally, I was hesitant about getting the Daron one, or I wasn't too fast acting upon getting the Daron one, only because I already had the Temu one. Obviously, you can see major differences there, and but since I already had this one, and I've had this one for a while, I just was not too, wasn't in a hurry to get this one, and plus I knew it would be being manufactured for quite a while. But so the Temu one here, the main thing I wanted to say about this plane is that it does have all of the details that the actual livery has. There are a few things missing, but in general, it has the same livery layout. Everything is fully printed on. The only thing is with all of these Aviamuse Temu planes is that I believe whatever the print is on it, it's kind of more, it reminds me of like a stock photo that is almost just like kind of slapped onto the plane rather than a fully detailed redesigning of the livery. It just seems like this is like a grainy stock photo that was included on it. I mean, if you zoom into it, like on the tail, you can see there's a lot of blurriness in there. in the actual design, whereas for the Daron one, the actual design is a lot more smooth and has a lot less, has no grain in it compared to the Temu one. So the front of the plane for the Temu one versus the Daron one, the Temu one, definitely the paint itself is more of a matte finish. It's not as glossy. You can see the paint in the Freedom one is a lot more vibrant, a lot more colorful than the Temu one. Temu one has more of a basic dark gray coloring there. The red does look very similar though, so that is pretty much the same on both of them, I guess. But one of the main differences with the planes, of course, is, I mean, the tails. All of the Temu 737s don't have that extra addition to the tail. None of those have that, so that is one thing that the Temu planes don't have, which is honestly, it's something I keep forgetting. I genuinely forgot the Temu planes did not have that until I went to do this review, and I realized that that is one major difference that they have. But the Temu plane also does not have any design on the engines, so that is one thing too that the Daron one is better for. It has the extra detail on the engines, where the Temu one does not have that. It's just the basic blue and the red background rather than having the actual white stripe included. But one thing I actually was really surprised for the Temu plane is that the Temu plane even has a registration number. I mean, seriously, Daron could not put a registration number on their, like, almost what I would call a hyper-realistic toy. You could not put a registration number on this, but the Temu plane can. I mean, seriously. Wow, I was just really surprised with that when I got this model. Like, seriously, there's a registration number on the knockoff, but there's no registration number on the professional model that has a license to actually manufacture these planes. In case anyone does not know that, the main thing with these Temu planes is that they don't actually, or I really don't think they have a license to be making these. So that's one thing why I also don't really want to be getting them. It's just because, like, I don't know. It's just, I don't think the company really has a license to be manufacturing these. That is one of the main reasons why they can get new liveries out so often, because they don't have to get permission from the airline to manufacture them. But at that same time, they can only sell them privately on sites like Temu, and I think they have a personal site on Amazon as well that they sell them, because they cannot sell them in stores because they don't have a license to do that from the airline, which is why on Daron, you see all of the trademark stuff from Southwest Airlines and all that, from all the airlines. That's why all that stuff is included on the boxes, for that reason, because Daron has a license to manufacture this stuff. But anyway, going to the last bit of information here for the comparison, you can see the undercarriage as well. The Daron one definitely has a lot more detail. The Temu one, obviously, the landing gear is kind of more junky on the Temu one than on Daron one. Daron one is a little bit better. But the Daron one also has more detail on the rear portion of the undercarriage. You can see the blue is extended where as to the white and red as well. But the Temu one just has the red on it. It does not have any of the blue added on. So, I mean, the Temu one, it genuinely does have really great detail on it, and I do think it is a really good option to have as well if Daron was not manufacturing that. It genuinely is a really nice alternative to it. It is cheaper, and it genuinely is also really nice as well. So, I mean, that pretty much is the entire comparison for both of these planes. One thing that I do want to mention is that I really would like everyone to keep in mind that the Temu planes are not the same as the Daron planes. Even though, yes, they look pretty much identical, I have seen a lot of, between YouTube shorts and other videos of people, they would get these Temu planes and they would call them Daron, and it's not the same thing. They're a completely different brand. Even though, yes, they look similar, they're not the same thing. Any Daron plane is going to come in this actual box. It's going to come in the actual box that says Daron. It's going to have the company name on the landing gear and all that stuff on it. So it's just, in my opinion, it's kind of giving Daron a bad rap, because the Temu planes they genuinely are more junky manufactured version of them. And if people online are seeing those and they're going to think that Daron is manufacturing some real crappy planes, like a Spirit Airlines 737, people are going to see that and think that this company is crazy, and it's going to give Daron a bad rap. So I just really When people make those videos, please remember that these are not the same company brand. Even though, yes, they look very similar, Daron planes are more realistic than the Temu planes. So these are a completely different brand and have a completely different manufacturer. I honestly don't even know who the manufacturer is because they don't have a license for this stuff, so there's nothing included on it. So, but yeah, that is pretty much the last thing I wanted to mention about that, just to remember that these are not the same, manufactured by the same company. So for the last little bit of comparison, just to kind of show here, I'm not really much of a comparison, just to kind of show, because I actually did not realize until I was right about to film this video, and I realized that this is actually the entire Daron Southwest Airlines fleet. I mean, even though you have the differences between the Realtoy and Daron planes, this is pretty much the entire Southwest fleet. You have the Canyon Blue 737, and then the original, the Heart Livery 737, and then the new Freedom 1 livery there as well. So it really is nice seeing all these liveries together, and at least the Canyon Blue can still be relevant now because they do have one more Canyon Blue 737, which is currently a considered as a retro livery, so I am glad that they have that. One thing I did want to mention for the background information on Southwest's Freedom 1 livery. So Southwest Freedom 1 livery was released on June 18th, 2021 to celebrate Southwest Airlines' 50th anniversary and is a special tribute to the nation, the military, and the airline's employees, featuring the American flag with all 50 stars and 13 stripes. The aircraft itself is registered as, again, November 500 Whiskey Romeo and is roughly 11.5 years old at the time of filming this video, being delivered to Southwest in June of 2014 in the Canyon Blue livery and wore that same livery until being repainted to Freedom 1 in 2021. So with that being said, the Freedom 1 livery being very new will definitely be around for a very long time. I'm honestly surprised they didn't release the livery sooner because, I mean, livery in the American flag seems to be a pretty great idea. I'm honestly surprised no other airlines had done that earlier too. So definitely is a very recognizable livery at any airport, and a giant plane painted in a giant American flag definitely would look really cool as well. They also, Southwest has that for lots of state flags. I really wish they would do that for every state flag. That would be really cool if they had like 50, or actually, including this one, it would be 51 different planes painted in flags for different states. So overall, my final thoughts between the Daron and Temu model right here. So obviously the Daron one is certainly better than the Temu version, but honestly the Temu version it genuinely is a nice competitor to it. It has its great detail, and considering this was released, the Temu version was released over a year earlier than the Daron one, or almost a year earlier. I genuinely is impressed that the similarities are still very close. And Daron did have some nice competition right there with the Aviamuse introducing this livery too. And they also still have a lot more Southwest Airlines liveries, which I will also be getting those in the future. I hope to get all of the Southwest liveries that Aviamuse has manufactured and produced, even though technically this one is not needed because Daron has this one, which is a lot better, but the others are still really nice to have in for airports as well. Airport setups that will definitely look really cool and be a great addition to it. So that pretty much wraps up this unboxing and review video. Again, overall, while the general design and quality of the Daron version is better, the Temu version of the Freedom 1 livery is definitely a nice competitor and has its good qualities too. But of course, I would still say the Daron version is better. If only it had the registration number like it should have, then it would be even better, but I guess we should at least appreciate Daron's effort. I also think it would have been better to have a more custom Freedom 1 box art design, but I suppose that would have costed the company more money, so they didn't bother doing that. It definitely is a great addition to the Daron model collection and certainly worth getting. I do really hope to see more of these releases of special liveries in the future, especially Southwest ones, possibly even American Airlines ones and Alaska ones as well. Those would also be really great. I hope this will not be the only special livery model that they make in the future, along with the Emirates one as well. Like I mentioned earlier, be sure to check out my other Southwest review videos linked in the description and let me know what your thoughts are on this model in the description as well. And also let me know too if you prefer the Daron one or the Temu one for your collection. I know since the Temu one is cheaper than Daron, some things could probably cancel out for quality stuff. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.